The movie begins with a nuclear-destroyed city and most of the civilization has wiped out. Ann Burden is the only woman survivor on Earth. She is living a routine lifestyle on her family's farm with her dog Pharaoh. She gathers food from abandoned locations and sets traps for wild animals to protect her farm. One day while searching in food, she encounters a small wagon on road. When she is going to check inside, the dog gets scared by someone's footsteps and runs to Ann. They both hide by the road and finds a person wearing a radiation suit. They secretly look at the person removing his suit. Inside it, there is a man named John Loomis. He is a research engineer and with the help of his suit he survived the nuclear attack. When he checks the place is free from the radiation, he gets some fresh air, and screams with joy. Now he is very happy to be at a safe place. Then he goes to a nearby waterfall to take bath. He gets inside the water and start cleaning his body. Ann and her dog also follow him. Ann knows the water is coming from outside the valley which is affected by the nuclear radiation. So she asks him to get out of the water but John gets shocked to see her. He picks up his gun and shoots in the air. He asks her who is she and where are the others. She tells him that she is alone and there are not any others. Then she explains him that the water is radioactive. John checks around and immediately gets out of the water. The radioactive water has affected his whole body and starts vomiting. He gets inside his wagon and injects the medicine with Ann's help. The radiation affects him so badly that he can't even walk. So Ann takes him to her home and lays him on the bed. When he is sleeping, she checks his wagon and finds his pictures with a woman. For many days, Ann takes care of him until he is not completely well. She feeds him on the bed and gives him the medicines. One night she hears John is having a nightmare and comes to his room to comfort him. She finds that his body has lost the strength and prays for his recovery. After some days, she finds John is getting improved slowly. She helps him to walk inside the house. They both discuss about the valley. John says the weather pattern and high mountains save the valley from the radiation. Ann tells her that they are safe as long as they stay here. Then John asks her about her family. She tells him that her family went on a journey to find the other peoples but they never come back. She shows him her family pictures and tells him that she was very close to her brother. Then she stands up and hugs him. The next day, John comes out of the house and finds Ann working in the fields. He sees an old tractor and asks her about it. Ann tells her that she had used it last year and now she has run out gas. John explains she can pump the gas manually from the abandoned gas station. Ann follows his instructions and succeeds in getting the sufficient gas for the tractor. Now she starts working with it in her fields. At dinner, John notices that she has strong beliefs in Christianity. He talks about his journey before they meet. He tells her that he was working for the government and hiding in a bunker. He left that place because didn't want to live his life in darkness and was in search of a place like this. Ann asks him about the woman she sees in the pictures. He says it's just a girl from the past. After the dinner, they both feel a sensual attraction towards each other but both are confused to move forward. In the morning, John and Ann spend their time at a river. She offers him fresh fish and he loves it. He asks her about the last winter. Ann tells him that she was frozen and starved to death because her generator got broken. She could not collect fishes and other food. John says he can fix her generator and they can store more food. When they arrive home, John checks her generator and starts fixing it. He assumes that they can utilize the radioactive water as a source of hydroelectric power, but they have to build a water wheel to get the electricity. He suggests Ann that they can build the wheel from church wood. He decides to demolish the holy building to get its parts. But Ann stops him and says her father built this church and they preach there every Sunday. She claims that she is deeply attached to the holy building and can't let him to destroy it. After discussing a lot, John decides to hold the wheel project. For the following days, they work together to collect the food and other resources. While spending more time with each other, they build a strong bond between them. But one day, Ann finds John in drunk condition in a mini-mart. He mocks her for eating all of the sweet stuff. Then he takes all remaining beer bottles. As he is drunk, Ann helps him to stand up and takes him to the home. When she is removing his dirty clothes, John becomes angry and shouts at her for touching him. He says he doesn't need her help and leaves him alone. Ann gets scared of his behavior and leaves the room. In the morning, John apologizes her for his rude behavior and Ann accepts it willingly. After this, they both forget their night experience and continue to work together. In the night, Ann organizes a special dinner for John. After drinking the wine, they come close and start dancing in the living room. They both become intimate and have their first kiss. John and Ann get inside the bedroom and are ready to start their sensual relationship, but John hesitates and tells her that the intimacy will change their whole life. He says he wants more time to know each other and comforts her. The next day, when Ann goes to check her traps, she finds some activity there. Suddenly the dog runs in the woods and goes forward. As she follows him, she encounters with another man survivor. She is shocked to see him. He asks her where he can get a glass of water. He tells her that his name is Caleb. Then she takes him to her home, but John stops him to enter the house. He holds his rifle at him but Ann explains him about the survivor. After this, the two men interact with each other and introduce themselves. Caleb tells him that he walked 50 miles from a mine in search of food and other resources. John says that he has to stay outside the house as he has some radiation which can affect the house. However, Ann insists that she can't let anyone outside the house. She goes to Caleb and invites him inside the house. She offers him food and they all share their experience of nuclear disaster. John says that before meeting Ann, he met a diseased teenager. He tries to take care of the boy but his body was too weak to move. The boy begged him to kill him, so he shot him with his gun to get him peace. Caleb tells them about his awful experience inside the mine he was trapped in. During his first week, he saw multiple people kill each other because of their dreadful conditions. After the meal, Ann shows her house to Caleb and John seems to be jealous of him. He keeps asking Ann to be aware of him because they do not know about him and may be a dangerous person. They both start arguing about John's thinking and they come at the topic of the boy he shot. In a heated argument, he reveals that the boy he killed was her lost brother. Ann gets shocked and starts crying. The next day, John and Caleb decide to hunt turkey for Ann and go inside the woods. When they are walking, Caleb tells him that he heard over the radio that a lot of people headed to south, but John says maybe he heard old recordings. While talking about the survivor, Caleb notices a turkey and they both shoots but misses it. Then John shows him the waterfall and explains his plan about the water electricity. On their way to home, they see another turkey and finally succeed in killing it. At dinner, Caleb talks about the water wheel project and tells Ann that she has to tear down her father's church to get the electricity. John tells him that she is not ready for that and is deeply attached to the building. But then Ann says that rebuilding is important and they should plan for it. The both men get confused. Ann says that they can cut the trees outside the area. But John says that it will take a lot of time to get the wood from the trees. Then Caleb says that they have only one way to build the water wheel in short time. They must tear down the church building. After discussing a lot, Ann is finally agreed to the project. In the morning, they start demolishing the church building to get the wood. While working on the project, Ann and Caleb start having a bond between them which makes jealous John. They are attracted by each other and exchange their glances. As the project progresses, their bond grows stronger. They both take a break from work and walk into the woods to explore the valley. They talk about their deep faith in the Christianity. They believe it's the only thing that's give them strength to live their lives. When they arrive at the work area, they find that John has already constructed a half of the wheel. Now the trio hope that the structure can get them electricity in the post-apocalyptic world. That night, John requests Ann that he wants to talk with her in private. He talks about her and Caleb attraction and says that he wants her to be in relationship with Caleb. He says Caleb will be a good choice for her life. But Ann finds him odd and seems confused to his thoughts. John says that he will not stand in her way to explore her desires with someone else. But Ann says she doesn't feel the need to explore. She gets annoyed by his talking and leaves the place. The next 3 days, the trio spend their whole time to build the water wheel around the waterfall. In the night, they celebrate the dinner as a big break from the project. After drinking a couple of wine, they decide to go to the river where they all enjoy their success and swim into the water. When they get cold, they decide to return home and end the night. Suddenly, John comes to Ann and expresses his feelings for her, but she is shocked and finds difficult to believe. Then they both hold their hands on their way to home. Inside the room, Ann wants to be in a sensual relationship with John and tries to wake him up, but he was so drunk that he doesn't give her any response. While going to sleep, she finds that Caleb is awake and stands in front of his door. Caleb welcomes her in his room and they both kiss each other. They become intimate and spend the night together. In the morning, John is preparing the breakfast and Ann seems confused about the love triangle. When they are going to have the breakfast, she leaves the table and tells them that she needs some rest. John asks Caleb that he needs his help to complete the finishing touches on the water wheel. Ann is still confused about her relationships with two men and watches them going to the work. While completing the wheel, John tells him that he makes him to realize that Ann is a special girl and he is never a threat to him. Remembering the night, Caleb laughs and say he doesn't believe him and jealousy doesn't suit him. John asks him about Ann's nature, but he says that he doesn't know her much. After completing the final touches, they take the wheel to the waterfall. Caleb wears the radiation suit and John attaches him to the ropes. Then he goes down to place the flume. After placing it carefully, the water mill starts working. They both are very happy to see the results. When Caleb is climbing the waterfall, he slips on the mossy surface and gets stuck in the cliff. John holds the rope and starts pulling him up. They both look each other and Caleb starts smiling. He seems to convey him to let the rope and finish the love triangle. In the following scene, we see John arrives home but Caleb is not with him. And says sorry to him for making their relationship unclear and tells the night was very confusing for her. John interrupts her and tells that Caleb is gone and she asks him where. He tells her he has gone to Anson. He says he took his safe suit and she was welcome to anything of his. Hearing this, Anne gets shocked and immediately runs outside to look Caleb but she can't find him. In the next scene, we find John working on the water wheel to finish the wiring. Then he stands on the surface and see the site where Caleb got stuck. Meanwhile, Anne opens her refrigerator and finds the electricity has been restored. Then she turns on all the lights of the house and runs outside. She goes to garage and starts playing her father's piano. When she is playing it, John also comes there and sits nearby. They both start enjoying the music and here the movie ends.